So when we first started, I was the dummy. You know, all my friends had graduated, and a lot of them went to work for Ford or GM or the factory, and they making $38,000, $40,000 a year. I went from living in my own place, living in Bob's house, to him paying me $500 when he wanted to. So they was like, man, you dumb. Over the years, I always tell people it ended up going kind of like this. And then now, you lucky. You get to do what you want to do. You got a cool job. You making all this money. I hate my job. I hate, you know what I mean? And it just kind of flipped around. So the transition was weird because I had moved away from when I was at home when I was 18, and I was on my own till I was 23 in college, and then I had to move in Bob's house. And the biggest challenge when we started off was, my nickname is Fritty. My mom and them, I'm the third, so I don't have a middle name, so they call me Fritty. And they named me when I guess she was pregnant. They went to see a movie called Fritz the Cat, and it was this pimp cat. And it was started off calling me Fritz, but by the time I was called, they called me Fritty. So my biggest challenge when we started the studio was people accepting me as Curtis, a college graduate that know what he doing, as opposed to Fritty from the neighborhood. So the mom, the sister, everybody thought I was kind of like a joke, like Bob just hooking up one of his homeboys, but I was serious. And so, that was the biggest challenge, of getting people to forget that I'm the little kid from the neighborhood. And then I went off when I was 18 and left California, went to Michigan, dealt with that snow, dealt with the injury, and graduated. And now I'm here to take on this new challenge. You know what I mean? And so literally when I got here in 95, Bob had the building, but we didn't have a logo. We didn't have any speakers hooked up. And all it was a kick it spot. And my job, probably like the first 3 months, was getting people to stop coming up there and quit hanging out and quit bringing girls up here. And like, we're going to be a real business. We're going to set the tone. Get your ass out of here. You can't come up here if you ain't doing nothing. And that was the biggest challenge when we got started, was getting people to accept me as Curtis, not Fritty from the Patch. You know what I mean? Yeah, so nobody knew what was kind of like in me, per se. And when we first started, I think I was supposed to be Raz's manager, because I'm the one that told Bob that Raz is dope. You should send him some equipment so he can cut a demo. And Bob did that, and we cut a demo, and nobody would listen. So us being from the Patch, both parents, naive, you can do what you want to do, we was like, shit, we just do our own fucking label and put it out. So we did Remain Anonymous, Won't Catch Me Running, pressed up the vinyl and put it out. And it created a bidding war, and he signed with Priority. We recorded the first album, and we realized we spent over $200,000 in the studio. So us being some Carson niggas from the Patch, young, naive, thinking we can do anything. The homeboy just was the highest paid player in the NFL. We should do our own fucking studio. And that's how we did the studio. So I was supposed to manage Raz, but Raz didn't want me to manage him, because he was like, you Fritty from the Patch. You don't know what you're doing. I'm going to go with Crowbar Management, which is Coolio's management company. Coolio is like, he liked Drake at the time, So Raz went with them. The studio was a kind of throw. Like, oh, nigga, this nigga graduating. He kind of hooked everything up. We need to give him a job. You're going to run the studio. And so he just told me to run the studio. And then I tried to go meet with somebody. They wouldn't talk to me. So I never did that again. He gave me a book, and I read it. And that was our Bible. And I was like, I still got the book at home. And
what was the name of it?
It's a studio handbook. And I'll text it to you. I can't remember. And so I started with that. And I remember like after about 2 weeks, he was like, I need to meet with you at the studio. I said, fuck, he about to send me home. You know what I mean? He came upstairs. It was a converted house at the time. Went upstairs. He was like, you doing a good job. Here go the keys. I'm out. And he just gave me the keys and left. And I had to figure it out. And that's why I know all the shit, because everything, I had to figure it out. And I always tell people, if we started with this room, we wouldn't be celebrating 24 years. We would have failed. It was a blessing to start with a one-room facility with the record label upstairs, and me be able to figure shit out. Because by the time we got here, I can tell them how I want my office. I want to be able to do everything from here. I want to look at the camera. I want to open the safe. I want 2 screens. I want shelving. You know what I mean? But I got to practice for 2 or 3 years before we came into this. And if we would have came into this, we would have failed. I needed to practice. And so that allowed me to literally practice. All we can do over there was record. That's all we did. My goal was to become the premier recording facility of the Southeast. We just did recording. No mixing, no mastering, no CD. I wanted to be known as the dopest recording studio, and we made that. And then people start saying, I wish y'all can fucking mix our records. I wish we didn't have to go to LA and New York. And I remember we paid everything off. We was living good. And then Bob was like, we're gonna build this big ass room. And I was like, man, we've been grinding. He probably tried to close the place about 27 times. And he would always give me one more shot and be like, well, if you can do this, we'll stay open. And I always say, instead of looking for another job, I was like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna try to make this go. And we would make it and just keep bridging it together. And after, I always tell people, in my opinion, the reason why they say businesses don't make it past the first 3 years is because, nigga, all your leases are 36 months. So all that equipment, all the phone system, everything is taxing on you for the first 3 years. You got to pay all these bills. So my whole first goal was to get out of Bob's pocket, because he kept trying to close the studio. And I was like, if I can get out of his pocket and just pay for the shit, we can never go out of business. And so after 5 years, we finally made it. And then after the 6th year, the nigga said, we're going to build this. This board was $1.3 million. The speakers was $76,000. $300,000 worth of outboard gear. They charged us $100,000 just so we went in back in debt about $4 million, and not counting the building, so about 5. And so I was like, man, it was kind of like my analogy. I ran all the way down the field and got ready to score, and the nigga said, turn around. And I was like, man, this shit is a grind. And so we recommitted to being a world-class facility, and that's what we doing now. You got to think, he's an athlete. His advisors is saying that's the dumbest thing, to have a record label in the studio. The record label was just kind of draining or whatever. In the studio, he was having to pay for the building. He would have to dig into his personal money to pay the payroll, to pay the engineers, pay the electricity. It just looked like a money pit. It took us time to figure it out. You know what I mean? It took a long time. You know what I mean? And so Bob doesn't own the studio now because he went through a bad divorce, and they were trying to take the studio. So me and one of the other engineers got some money together between ourselves, and we bought it from them. So I've been running it since '95, been owning it for about the last 10 years. His style is the style kind of like I say now, it's like these young people want praise and admiration, and they want to know that they're doing something well. He never told me I did anything good. It was just like, nigga, your reward is we still here. You know what I mean? So you kind of like, it was a relief that I wasn't going back to California, because I was like, man, this motherfucker he was like, you doing a good job, I'm out. And he just gave me the keys, and and then there was another guy at the time, BJ, was running the record label. And so me and BJ were able to kind of bounce things off each other. And then I remember when they closed the record label, and I was like, damn, I got to do all this shit by myself. At least I had somebody else to kind of bounce shit off of. And then that kind of went away, and then it was just me. And, so I was running it and doing everything. And so now the joke is, because I'm only here from like 10-ish to 3-ish, they be acting like I ain't never here. But I tell them, nigga, I used to work 16 hours every goddamn day. Right. People just wasn't around when we was building it. Now, it looked like, people come in. We literally, man, without exaggerating, we do at least 11 sessions every single day, 11 to 13. We rolling in here. We usually start by 10. And our last session usually ends around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week. Yeah. Man. So we be rolling. So I have a good team, which is why business is being conducted. You don't hear people walking in here calling me. I moved out of my office. Toya runs the building. Oz runs it on the weekend. I'm about bringing good people together. And one of the things we known for is our engineers are all over. So Usher's engineer, Monica, Polo, YG, whoever you can think of probably got one of our engineers that either interned, assisted, or worked through here. And we're good at identifying good people and training them. Most of the other people want to pluck people away because they don't have the patience to train people. I literally got that patience to sit there with you and let you figure out how to open a safe for 3 months. And when we first started, the way it worked was, if you was a studio and the engineer was separate, the studio would get his purchase order, get paid from the label, and the engineer was on his own like an independent contractor. And when we started working, I was like, the engineer is the fucking star. He in there cutting tape, micing drums, hooking up shit, running the board. He doing everything, right? And then I was like, now if the label pay me and don't pay him, and he's sitting in the studio next to this artist, that's gonna be a badass vibe. Like, nigga, I ain't get paid. I said, shit, we should hire the engineers. And so we put the engineers on our payroll, which means they got W-2s for the first time. They weren't independent contractors, and at the time we were all able to offer benefits because they weren't expensive. So by us doing that, we attracted the best engineers in Atlanta, right? And when a client wanted to work with the engineer would be like, I'm not going to work at that studio because then I got to chase this money and do all this shit. I only work at Patchwerk. And that's how we got known for engineering. So we had the best engineering, and if you wanted to work with this engineer, they worked exclusively here at the studio. You know what I mean? So that was one of the things that changed. Like like I said, there's before Patchwerk and after Patchwerk. Before Patchwerk, engineers were independent contractors. They was on their own. I set it up so it's like, look, man, you do all this work, no matter what, whether the label pay us or not, we gonna pay you. We only can pay them. We get paid once a month because the turnaround ain't quick enough. But I'm like, you gonna have your money. You know, you ain't gonna be worried. You don't have to chase nobody down. We do their scheduling and all that stuff, and so it made life easier. So he wanted to do a room at home. We looked at some studios that was for sale in Hollywood, and then he wanted to do Miami, and I think Miami, LA, and I was like, he wanted me to be flying back and forth, and I was like, I believe in growth, but I believe in smart growth, and I was like, I would rather just open the studio up less than a mile from here, because then I can manage both of them. I can have one manager, so that'll cut costs. I can use my same crew of engineers, and people know about it, so I'd rather just do another room here than go, you ain't about to break me flying back and forth to LA. And so we was looking, and we almost bought a couple places here, but we never did it. And then now it's kind of like, my mentality is like, my credit score is like a 815, and my partner Mike's like a 845, 850. I don't really like the old people, so before I move on, I'd be like, let me pay this off, and then once we own it, nobody can take it from us. That's legacy. It's just kicking off money at that point. So before I did anything else, I would want to pay this one off, and we got about 9 years left, we'll be done. And then I can take that. I feel like my system, I be looking at places, and the money's in the system. That's what franchises are. You buy somebody's system, you show them how to come in, set up, operate, do stuff, boom, you can sell that. My system works, you know what I mean? I done tweaked it, and it works great. I can implement it anywhere. I be seeing people, and I be like, I could help, but I ain't about to do all of that right now. You know what I mean? We just working on what we working on, and we got some other projects that I want to do, but we could do another room somewhere. We could do a bunch of them. A lot of them doing the shit that we do is based off of the information that we shared and their experiences working in here, because a lot of people, for us, we aren't inspired to do something or motivated to do something until we see somebody that looks like us that does it. But before us, it was rock and roll people that own the studios. When they seen two niggas from LA, 23, 24 years old, that own the studio, they believe that they can do it at that point. And then they start doing it. But before then, I don't even really think it crossed their mind to be like, you know what, I can own a studio and operate it. But we put that in the air, and people jumped on it. They saw it was possible. Just like now, ain't no niggas building cars, right? Because they don't even think they can do it. They think you got to be Asian or Korean or whatever. But if some young niggas built the car and it was popping, then it'll be a whole bunch of car builders, just like golf. No Tiger, no niggas. He hit the ball, all these niggas play golf now. So that's what we kind of did for the technical side of the business. You know what I mean? If I only know what another nigga tell me, then I ain't gonna be better than him. And so if you tell me something, then I'll go study it, and then I'll know more about it than you do. You know what I mean? I'm a killer, man. I ain't one of these niggas that want to play with the best player. I want to beat that motherfucker. Right? I damn sure ain't joining up with no Dwayne Wade. I'm trying to beat his ass. You know what I mean? And so for me, I be feeling like it's cheating. I don't go on other studios' websites. I don't go to their studios. I don't study the competition, because I feel like even if I ain't winning, the perception is I feel like I'm winning the race. So So if I feel if I look like this, all I'm gonna do is slow down. I don't know if I'm in first place or not, because I don't know what anybody else is doing, and I don't want to be influenced by what they doing. I just want to do what the fuck I want to do. You know what I mean? So I got certain rules. I just don't cheat, and then I just be doing shit, and then I notice other people do it, and then I'm on to 12 other things after that. I think the people that I don't work here is probably a better client list than some other studios, because I'll put people out. If they try to smoke in a room, you know, that's why we don't do Lil Wayne no more. Go somewhere. Future, are you Future? Nigga, go on. You know, I don't care who it is. We ain't really getting down like that or whatever. And so I just got certain principles, man. We about to work, and so I set the studio up so that it's not dependent on one person. When Jazzy Faye was here for 5 years, everybody thought that if he left, we would fail. Go on. Cash Money here for 3 years, booking all the rooms up. Get on. Polo here. Get on. This mix engineer. Get on. Certain client. Get on. Me, we still roll. Manager, get on. We still roll. Owner, go on, man. We still roll. So it's set up so that it's not based on anybody. And I ain't arrogant enough to think that I need to be here. You know what I mean? It's set up so that they can roll. I missed 55 days. Right? Yeah. So we have a system. That's why I said I know it'll work, because it doesn't work when I don't be here. Right. They don't even call me at home. They don't bother me. We are working now. It's probably the phones is ringing. They booking stuff. They billing. They collecting. People paying. We sending files. We mixing. We mastering. We recording. We doing video. All that stuff is going on right now, and they ain't bothering. No, you can call me, and I'll help you. But I'm not gonna do the work for you. So if you call in to have me do something for you, that shit don't work. If you call in and have me to stand right next to you and to show you how to do it, I'll do that all day. I'm available. Like people be, you know, like if I post something on our Instagram for the studio, it's a video of me sitting in here. Hey, I'm available. People don't believe it. When 2 days ago, 2 ladies was crying after my consultation, because people shitty. People won't talk to people. People won't help. So when they meet somebody like me, they just be like, I can't believe you own the studio and you willing to talk to people and it doesn't cost nothing and you trying to really help people. Yeah, nigga. You know what I mean? That's what we doing. This shit ain't no gimmick. This shit is for real. Right. So that's what you feel. When you walk through here, this shit is for real. You know what I mean? So when Glasses came through here years ago, he real recognized real. He like, nigga, call that nigga. Right? So like when we was on the phone, I was laughing because he like, we gonna shoot here, and then he like, well, Motown, we gonna shoot at your place. I'm like, after he come here, you can't go nowhere else. Ain't nobody else got no place like that. I realize that. I know what we doing. Somebody shitted on me when I tried to get help, so I'm scarred. So I'm anti-shitting on people. I'm here to help. This year I made my theme this year was, I said I'm gonna shoot a big ass light up, like the bat signal. And the goal is to attract all people who need help. My goal is to tell everybody that I'm here to help, because I don't want you to run into the wrong nigga and kill your dream about being in the music industry because somebody ripped your ass off. You ran into the wrong producer. You ran into a fake A&R. You went to some bullshit studio and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So I'm trying to tell as many people as possible is that, look, nigga, I'm here from 10 to 3. Here's this link. If you got any questions, I know more about shit than you can imagine. Click it, come sit down, I'm here to help. You know what I mean? I want people to win. If we win, we better. It doesn't make sense for me to have everything and my homeboys don't have nothing. It ain't no fun if my homies ain't there with me, right? So I'm trying to bring everybody along, and I'll be feeling like sometimes niggas feel like they should be the only black person at the table. I'll be like, nigga, you knew that and you didn't tell nobody? What the fuck? You act like it's gonna be gone if it's 12 niggas there. I don't come from that. So I'm not like that. I always tell people my parents still married, man. I ain't about that bullshit. We here to help.
So how was it when you came to Atlanta? Like, how did the people from the South like embrace the LA? You feel me? Like
it was cliquish. Atlanta is the clicked out shit. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it was real clicked out. You couldn't get in. Like I said, if you wasn't with So Def, if you wasn't with Rowdy Records, if you wasn't with Organized Noise, if you wasn't this, it was just like whatever. We just was blessed that Bob was playing for the Falcons. And we genuinely didn't want nothing. We weren't coming to pillage Atlanta. Like till this day, that shit don't work. You can't come up in here and set up shop and not deal with local people, they'll politely tell everybody we ain't fucking with that person, and it won't work. You got to kind of come in and be a part of it or whatever. So we didn't have them intentions, and I think that our intentions were always to help people and to educate and teach people, and they appreciated that, you know. And over time, they just be like, man, it's like I tell people now, it's weird to watch certain people act like they want to help people when I got perspective. So that means I've been here 24 years. So I seen when you was an asshole, and now you trying to act like you want to help people because you think that's cool. People realize that shit. They can look at us and be like, they should check out. Nigga been doing the shit since Curtis been there. He been there since 95. It's been the same culture. So ours is genuine. And so now the genuine shit is what's popping. These niggas trying to act genuine, but nigga, you can't act genuine. So you full of shit. So I literally be looking at shit and be like, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. And I ain't got to say nothing because the people won't connect with the bullshit unless they full of shit themselves, because bullshit attract bullshit. You know what I mean? So we, like I said, we just doing what we doing. We here to help.
Right.
Yeah.
Nipsey situation.
Yeah.
Like, what's your thoughts on that?
So on there, it's people. I posted it on my Instagram and I posted it on the Patchwerk with my opinion on it. I had never really listened to his music. I went to the Final Four, so I went all the way back to his first mixtape, and I was like, okay, his shit was rocking. I think I got to about the third or fourth song, and I was like, sonically, it kind of sucks. Like, it didn't sound as good. But then I was like, I was interested in the progression to what it sounded like now. And so that was kind of like my opinion. It was like, okay, he's dope. But the people that know me, and I guess came in contact with them, when he came here, I asked one of the younger people, what's up with Nipsey Hussle? And it was like, oh, you would like him. You know, he's about building shit up. He ain't like the other rappers, right? So they showed me the video of him talking about buying a house and doing something else. And then I asked our cameraman, and he said something. He was like, because they know I'd be like, I stopped listening after. I still listen to Spice One, so I don't be listening to none of that shit, you know. And there's nothing wrong with it. I just say it ain't for me. But they kept telling me I would like him. So when his manager was here, or they were shooting something here, and I knew he was coming, I spoke to the manager. And then after I walked him, he was standoff. He was the LA nigga. He ain't trust nobody. He's sitting in the car, don't want to come in. He don't know what's in his building. After he meet me, I tell him I'm from, Carson, the story about the patch. I'll show him the old studio, and he kind of relaxed. He's like, oh man, this shit is play. You should meet Nip. You would like him. He cool. And I'm like, well, shit, man, I'm going to stay another 20 minutes. If he get here, introduce me to him. And he didn't show up. He came after I left. And so, probably after that, it was about 2-3 months when he passed. I didn't know his music. And then when I was looking at everything, my wife made the comment that, man, everybody talking about Nipsey Hussle, but they not playing none of his songs. They just posting him talking. And I was like, well, he's saying some good shit. And I said, but the people that know me and know what I don't like kept saying I would have liked him. And because he just showed nothing but respect. So, it's cool for, I was cutting my grass yesterday, and I was thinking, I was like, man, I think these people, this generation is just different, because I think that was really tragic what happened to them, but they really, really think it's tragic. Like, nobody was doing nothing. He got killed. But growing up, when we grew up, niggas was getting killed for nothing all the time. Niggas that did a lot of shit around the neighborhood and different things was just getting killed or whatever. So, again, like I keep telling people, the blessing is time, and time gives you perspective. So when you can look at everything and be like, whatever. So I think that the fire or the spark that he had that's gonna light people on fire is a blessing. And I think it's cool that he was known for helping people and doing shit in the community, and people now see that that's a bigger impact than having hot songs. So now people may aspire to own a clothing store, do shit in the community, and change something, and see that it's a bigger impact. Because we've lost bigger artists, but it wasn't that type of response. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of like, man, for me, it's like, it's one of them things where I guess I should have met him. Like, like I could have just stayed a little bit longer, and whatever. But I never met him, and I'm trying to go through his music now. I'll tell you a quick story. So when Titty Boy was Titty Boy switching to 2 Chainz, because it reminds me of this. He gave me, I got his mixtape. And I remember I got off I listened to it in traffic. It took me 35 minutes. And I was picking up a sandwich from Domino's. I called him. I said, nigga, I got your mixtape. You snapping like a motherfucker, but it sound like shit. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, creatively, you doing your thing, but sonically, your shit sound horrible. And he was like, well, what do I need to do? And so we talked, and we brought him in, and we basically re-EQ'd, put number stamps on his first mixtape, and that's where that Riding Around and I'm Getting It came out. And that's why I was able to go straight to radio, because we fixed it. So when I listened to Nipsey's, I heard an intro, and then it was on the same. He had a song with Rick Ross, whatever that first album was, and it was his one song. I listened to it 3 times. I couldn't really get past it. And then when I went to the intro, the second song was hard as fuck. Third song had Rick Ross and something, but I was stuck on number 2. When I went to 3 and 4, my observation is this nigga can rap, but it sound like shit, and it made me think of. So I was interested in seeing, because that was his first tape. And I was like, I wanted to start at the beginning so that I can experience the progression to see if sonically it caught up and where he ended up. So I never listened to nothing new. I'm just trying to work my way through the old stuff to kind of get an appreciation from it. So right. that's what I'm interested in, because from what people saying, he might have started off banging and then he kind of grew into something. So I'm interested in seeing how his music grew over time. But that's just me with my ear from being in the studio, trying to see if his growth in music kept up. And so with something like him, you know, if I knew him, then I would be calling his people and say, hey, if y'all are gonna put something out, let me hear it before y'all do it, and let us fix it so it'll be done properly. So like, we got Tupac and Biggie plaques, but we worked on them projects after they passed, and they sound great. So that's what, like, you know, like if I knew him, that's what I would be like, hey man, before y'all do something, let us check it. You know what I mean? Let us look at it, make sure it's mixed properly, mastered, coded, and all the benefits of the record would come to you. Even them YouTube videos will generate money, that should be going to them. But it's a certain way to do that to make sure that it comes to them. He's sitting in here. This is a $3.5 million room, and we can't master in this room. So the mixing is kind of like placing different sounds in a sound field, and you know, just kind of like phase aligning songs or whatever. The misperception about, you know, mixing, we working with a multi-track. It's just like, it sounds like you cooking. You got all these ingredients for gumbo. There's a cook that mixed them together so it don't taste like it's too spicy, too hot, too much pork or whatever. So you kind of mix it together. The mastering, we work with a 2-track. Really, like I say, it's almost like a 1-track, because everything's on 1 track, but it's a 2-track because it's stereo. There's a left and a right. So we're working with a 2-track. People think that mastering is making something louder, but we don't even deal with loudness in mastering. We deal with what he calls volume optimization. Time aligning the sounds. So basically, he's going to time align the sounds so that they come out of the speakers at different times. So there's the highs, the mids, the low mids, and the sub. So right, if we in a room and a song ain't really mixed or whatever, when it's playing, you'll see the woofers jumping and turning red, right? When we master the song, we can turn it up to 300 and the woofers won't even move. Like when you go to Best Buy, you be like, how's that shit so loud? The woofer ain't moving. It's because they time align the sounds and they not all fighting to come out of the speaker at the same time. So now the speaker just relax and you can hear all the dynamics. It's like your ear. When it's too much pressure on it, it's pushed in and you can't hear everything. If it's smooth, it moves in and out, right? So we time aligning the sounds so that they come out. And like Kenny will say, like if you go to a concert, you usually see a mix engineer with a console at the front of the house. And he's time aligning in real sound so that you literally sitting up there wondering, is Mariah Carey singing that shit? Because it sounds so good because it's coming out the speakers at the right time, right? So he time aligns in live house, we time align in house. And so by us time aligning, the song gets bigger, it gets warmer, and it sounds louder. But the only thing niggas notice is that it's louder. So now they got the little fake mastering where you can send your song in and they'll put a compressor on it and make it as loud as they can before it distorts, and they'll send it back to you. And because it's louder, you think your song is mastered, but they just cut off all the dynamics. So I always tell people you can test to see if you got a real mastering engineer, because I literally can make a song and I can go to this website and upload it, and I bet you they take my $100, master it, and send it back to you and won't even know, because they never listened to it. We typically have to turn down about 30 songs every year because we don't have any presets. The engineer puts it in and listens to it. And if it's not mixed properly, we can't master it, because it's kind of like if the analogy is, if you a dude and you want to get your car painted, right? The first step is pre-production in music, is pre-production in cars. You got to pick a dope color. You pick a fucked up color, it don't matter what happened next, right? So you got a dope color, you picked the dope beat. Now you got to go record it. And now you need to primer your car. You better primer that shit before you put that paint on it, otherwise it's going to be fucked up. So you primer, you record it. Now the mixing is painting. You painted, you picked the dope color, you primered the car, you painted it. It looks great, right? Until you sit it next to another car that got that candy coat on it, right? That clear coat. That's what your song sound like when it's just been mixed as opposed to it's been mastered. So the mastering is like the clear coat. It makes it pop off. Right now, imagine if we was to put clear coat on a paint job that had kinks and bumps on it, the clear coat is going to make all the imperfections jump out even more, right? That's why we can't master a song that's mixed in properly, because you're not even hearing what's wrong with it. But when we put that mastering on it, you're going to hear all the fuck ups. So we just say, hey, it's one of two things. One, your engineer knows what he's doing, but he's in a room where he can't hear. We can tell you overcompensating for the low end. Adjust that, send it back, we master it. The other scenario is, hey, we're going to charge you $75 for a consultation, for your time. We sending that shit back. Your engineer don't know what the fuck he doing. You better get another engineer. We don't even want the money. It can't be mastered. They'll take the song, go find somebody else, and they'll master that same record and think that it's mastered. But that's not what it is. So we have on our podcast, I think we do, I do music, but we break a couple of them, and we do episodes called The Engineer's Corner, where we sit our engineers in here and we talk and shop. So if people really want to delve in, they can find those on YouTube on our Patchwerk Studios channel. But it's definitely, like I keep telling people, if you got a person that's producing the beat, recording it, mixing it, mastering it, doing the artwork, we can do all that in-house, but we got a different professional at every level. So we got one engineer that's recording this shit, so you got a set of professional ears. You got a different engineer that's mixing it, that's another set of professional ears. Then we got a whole nother mastering engineer, that's another set. You know what I mean? But it's not the same thing, man. I wish people would, until we built that room, people didn't really understand what mastering was. I remember one of the first sessions we did was Sam Sneed. And we allowed him to attend the mastering session. And this was only about 10 years ago. And all that shit he had put out with Dre, recognized the nigga had never been to a mastering session. And he didn't even know what the fuck it was. And so we kind of pulled the cover off of mastering and trying to show people what it is, but it's a process. I'm not all knowing. I'm curious as to what are you doing, and how can I help, and what are you trying to get done. And if I have perspective, then maybe I can tell you to look at it a certain way, and then I want to see your perspective. I ain't dumb enough to know that. I ain't naive enough to think that I know everything. So I like to hear. I always say, I hear everybody, but I only listen to a few people. Mm-hmm. So I want everybody's opinion and take on it. But I'm about I want to help LA. Right. I mean, I want to help niggas that's dope. Right. Now we can't make people buy your record or promote it, but if they do listen to it, we can make sure that sonically it sounds like it's supposed to sound. I set up a company called The Other Side of Sports and Entertainment. The Other Side, because I'm big on that. I think it's a disservice to tell all the black athletes that when you're done playing, it's over. But all these white people can make a living doing the scoreboard, playing the music, doing shit. There's so many other jobs in sports, but you saying the only ones we can do is play or coach. Okay, in music industry, it's so many jobs, but all you saying we can do is produce or sing and rap. That's not true. So I'm big on trying to show people that it's people that's behind the scenes that's been making a living, doing this stuff or whatever. Well, I'm all about that.
So definitely going forward, like, I would love for us to come together.
And the funny thing real quick is that I be wishing I can get to the athletes because they be getting ripped off. And it takes them out of our industry because they'll put up a certain amount of money and nothing will never happen, so they never want to do it again. They feel like it's a waste. And I'd be like, nigga, you spent how much money? Nigga, you could have just called me. I'd have got you 12 producers, just like we did for the NFL Network. I'd have hooked you with some producers, recorded, mixed, mastered, it come out. We had one client here, I think her mom, when she came in, she was crying because her daughter had came from overseas and had been here 14 days working with this producer, paid all his money and didn't get shit. We came in here in 3 days and she had 3 songs recorded, mixed, and mastered, and coded and distributed. She was just like, man, I can't believe I wasted so much time. So when I see these athletes, so I went to Michigan State. I'll be watching Le'Veon Bell.
Mm-hmm.
I DM'd him. He never hit me back. I'm like, man, you don't sound right, right? We can help. I went to school with you. Here's what I do. But people don't, it makes you not want to extend your hand because people don't grab it. They think you get lumped in with all the other bullshit. So like even when we started the studio, when I used to go out to clubs all the time, I would tell girls I was a trash man because it sounded like game saying I was in the music industry at that time. Because every nigga was in the music industry, so you didn't even seem credible. I was just like, nigga, I'm a trash man. Because if I would have been like, hey, I own a studio, they wouldn't think it was this. They would think I was in somebody's house. So it's weird, like you trying to connect shit, I'm trying to connect shit too. I'm trying to help people and be like, hey, we here. That's right. Bullshit. Nah, it don't cost that much. We can do that right here.
Right.
We're going to do it the same way that Beyonce, Alicia Keys, Rick Ross, Jeezy, same quality they did for them, we're going to have your shit sounding like that.
Right.
Now, the problem is they spend more and their shit don't even sound as good. And I just be like, they going to quit. A nigga ain't gonna keep doing that shit. Be like, this some bullshit. So we did a couple we did Ron Artest. I used to laugh. Ron Artest used to be over here till 3 in the morning and then go drop 20 on the Hawks. The little dude, I forgot what the dreads that do the poetry, the spoken word. We used to do his stuff. Jason Terry used to be out over here, and we had a couple hoopers that would come in when they were playing town. Chris Webber, he'd be up here, and
I for sure gotta get like my mentor, big bro. Is Baron Davis, so he's always into.
I love Baron Davis. That nigga went to UCLA. Yeah. So it's just like I said, you kind of got to get introduced to have a conversation.
Exactly.
So I was just, when I was at the Mateen Cleaves had an artist that was signed to Dre, and I would reach out to him. He wouldn't hit me back, but I saw him at the Final Four, and then I saw him at this thing. My homeboy that he admired before him went to Flint. He told him who I was now. I said, nigga, I hit you 8 years ago.
Right.
But I can't really do nothing.
Right.
So, I'm here though. But anybody from home, you can send them the damn link. Tell them to call me.
Well, for sure.
Yeah, right. If they want to learn. If they want me to do something for them, I ain't about that bullshit. But if they want to learn how to do it, I'll give them the game.
So this room right here, it costs the same for everybody. Anybody, doesn't matter who it is, it costs the same.
Yep. We do specials in the morning where we got these new client deals where you pay for 4 hours, we give you 4 hours free. So you can get in that other room for $500 for 8 hours. That's just $62 an hour. You can get in here from 10 to 6 for your first 7 for $700. So that's why I'm like, if you coming from LA, pay the $700. We got a video dude that we only charge $45 an hour to shoot, $50 an edit. He can capture it and they can get on out of here. And it's gonna be done right. It's gonna make you look like $1 million. But I can't tell niggas that. Like, I don't know how to do it. I mean, I know how to do it, but they think it's game. You know what I mean? So,
Man.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we here. We from home. We like, nigga, come on. Y'all doing music? Come on.
Right.
We hit Kendrick because of the producer, not because he like I'm in Atlanta and I'm gonna call these niggas from the patch. I don't know why it don't happen. And then it be other people that finagle them to somewhere else and they think that that's the best shit. Maybe I'll be looking at him. I was looking at Nipsey at where I was like, nigga, he think he had a bomb ass studio, nigga. He wait till he come over here. And I said, he'll come. So Zaytoven pulled him in here. And his homeboy looking around like, nigga, this nigga, like you doing. I'm like, here go my number, nigga. Whenever y'all come to town, y'all need something, just call me. We'll make it happen for you.
Right. Because this is home.
Yeah.
Like, this
We
is
ain't
like
never
LA,
did
like, this
I
is
ain't
home.
never had the game in here. I love his stuff. We ain't never, I mean, it's like whatever. If they from home, I don't care who they are. I want to talk to them. I want to help. We can help, and their stuff don't be sounding right all the way, all the time. Yeah.
Anybody that came in here was like you, like, man, like, you such and such, or like on some like.
Nah, because I don't walk around like that. I just be like, we here, nigga. We here to help. So like I said, when all of them we was doing all the Nate Dogg, the Snoop, the Corrupt. When they come to town, they kind of know. So they'll be here. And Snoop will pull the bus up. We work. It's easy. Sit up in there, play that old ass music, smoke. Bishop be sitting on the floor. They kind of get it. It's just like, that's my age. Now it's a gap with the new people where we ain't really connected. Because I'm Raz, Snoop and them, that's my age. Dog Pound, Corrupt, Nate Dogg, all them, they get it. But then there's a disconnect with the new group of people because I don't even listen to it. I don't know who they are. But if I hear something that's dope, then my nature is to be like, hey, I'll be like, hey, I own Patchwerk. Here's the link. I'm from LA. I think you dope. Give me a call. But that's all I can really say.
Right.
And niggas don't call. And then I might run into them by like, man, I hit you up before. But when they see the studio, then, they pay attention. But I can't really do nothing.
They about to pay attention. You feel me? Like,
yeah.
You've been here for a while, so 24 years here, but how many years away from home? Like away from LA?
Only 5 years. I left in 90. I graduated in 90, went to Michigan State for 5 years.
So 30 years away from LA.
Yeah.
What do you miss about LA?
That's a hard one because I miss I'm still friends with my kindergarten and childhood friends, you know what I mean? And so, for me, they kind of look at all this shit that's going on, and for some reason, they be like, if you have time, or like, like my brother will call or text me like, can you talk? And I'll be like, nigga, y'all my friends. I'm gonna take your call anytime. I don't give a fuck what I'm doing or whatever. So I miss my childhood friends, and and that's really, and and being around my my brother moved out here, but it would be nice if my daughter were around, as grandparents and stuff, because they still here. But you can't afford to live in LA. So it's like I ain't about to try to break my neck to go there, but it ain't really, since I let it go, like in 93, I don't really compare to anything. And so for me, I tell people when I go there, I'm never going to LA or California, I'm going home. So home is home, whether you're from Indiana, LA, or whatever. So it's really about what do I miss about home. And I don't really miss nothing about LA or California. For me, is the things that I miss are really about home. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So if I was from anywhere, I would probably miss those same things. But I feel better coming to Atlanta. When I come to Atlanta, the flight attendants are black. When I get off the plane, all the people in the airport are black. When I see the picture of the mayor, she black. The police chief is black. Nigga, we got 7 radio stations that's all black. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, this nigga's riding around in nice cars and new houses and got their own business and own restaurants or whatever. So literally when I land in Atlanta, I feel way better than I do when I get home. When I get home, I'll be like, LAX, this airport is a piece of shit. Same old baggage claim. Got to go out to that bullshit with all them buses and that concrete. That shit is old as a motherfucker. So it's like the perspective is I be like, niggas is fighting to be here. Nigga, our airport, nigga, got everything in it. This LAX is, I'm like, y'all still on this bullshit with that? Tom Bradley built that motherfucker. That's some bullshit. Y'all fighting for this bullshit? You know what I mean? So, and I just be like, I'm here to do my time. I want to see my family, see my friends, as many as possible. And then I'm ready to get back to Atlanta because Atlanta feels better. And that's why I be like, y'all should just come out here and then you would have a bigger perspective. because you would be like, you fighting for this when you can do this. Like, y'all niggas is tripping.
Right.
Yeah.
I think. How has it been, like, you know, now, like, you at a point of, like, making money, you know, like, how was it, like, that response, like, from, like, people asking for money or wanting to borrow money, like, are you, like, giving to that point, or are you, like...
Nah, I mean, because it done ruined too many of my, I'm scarred. So, you know, I did it, and I ain't as close of friends as to 3 or 4 people that probably was best men's between my 2 weddings because of money. And not because I got no money from them, but it's like, yeah, you need this, I'll give it to you. When you gonna give it back? Okay, I'm never gonna ask for it, just do it. And then they don't do it. And then when you ask for it, you feel evil because you asking for what you did at no interest rate. And then they start acting funny, and then it ruins the friendship. So it's kind of like, you know, most people around me know that I don't talk to this person and this person and this person, and I always say we still friends, but the relationship ain't what it's supposed to be, and it's because of money. So they know that, like, I'll tell them, I'd rather you be mad at me because I didn't give you, like, one of my homeboys, we still friends because I didn't give him some money. If I'd have gave him the money, like I said, man, I flew you out here for my wedding, paid for the hotel, and I didn't ask for it back because I gave that to me. But you asking me to borrow some money, nigga, no. He got pissed at me, cussed at me when I came, cussed me out at the bar so bad that I was ready to leave. I tried to laugh it off, but then we still friends. Now, it was 3 of us, but the other one I loaned money to, and he never paid me back, and our relationship ain't never really been the same. So I was like, I'd rather you be mad at me for a couple of days because I said no, as opposed to me giving it to you and then you don't do what you're supposed to do. And then at that point, if I lose respect for you, I cannot like you, but if I lose respect for you, then it ain't never going to be the same. So all of the people around me, they'll call me from time to time. Some people will ask, and I just say, hey man, you too good of a friend for me to give you money. I'd rather you be mad at me for saying no, I ain't giving you this money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So sometimes I'll do something and just be like, just keep it, because I don't even want to ruin the relationship by, you know, because it ain't going to come back.
Right.
But I mean, you know, like for me, I keep saying the benefit of anybody that owns a company, the payoff is either when you sell or when you're done. You just maintaining. You got expenses and you got income, and usually it's a little bit over. They don't let you keep a whole bunch of stuff, but once you own it and pay it off, all them bills that you paying, you get to keep. So the payoff is then. You know what I mean? So all of the stuff really, I'm just kind of like mentally on like a 9-year plan where I already paid off my house. I got 2 condos in Atlantic Station that I want to be paid off. My wife got a house I want to be paid off. I got 2.5 acres of land, and then the studio. So if I can time all that up, I'm like, my daughter will be 15 or 16, and then all of that stuff, instead of me, I'm collecting rent, but I'm paying the mortgage. If I can just keep all of that, then I feel like I always say, I feel like my parents started us off on first base with maybe 1 out, and we had to score. I'm trying to start her on third base with no outs, and all she got to do is get home. So, you know, we just that's all I'm concerned about, is giving my daughter I ain't even call it an advantage, because shit, we've been disadvantaged for so long, but getting her a little bit further along. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just on 55, man. That's all I be thinking about is when I'm done. And I keep saying that there's different lifetimes. You leave people at every level. So when we get to 7th grade, there's separation between the gangsters and the athletes. You may lose some of your friends because they start banging or whatever. And then when you get to high school, then it become the smokers and the drinkers and the athletes. And so you may lose a few. And then the next level is college. Well, some may drop out, get people pregnant, don't finish, financial aid. Then there's the crew that graduates. Then there's the career. And then can you keep up with the people that's with the career? And then the next celebration is that, nigga, are you retired? Let's go out of town. So I'm trying to be in that crew, and I'm trying to bring some of my best friends to make sure that when we do go on a cruise, I got friends that I like to go with me. You know what I mean? And it ain't a whole bunch of money. It's just about making decisions or whatever. So that's kind of how I look at it. And as you move along, the crew gets smaller and smaller. So that's why I say I miss my childhood friends, because all of them don't get, they don't come along for the ride. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm Curtis Daniel III, owner of Patchwerk Recording Studios, from the Cabbage Patch Gangsters in Carson, California. Then LA creates endless dreams, baby. And I just laced y'all up with $2 million worth of games, so you better pay attention.